But the righteous always will prevail no matter what. As long as you keep fighting and as long as you understand that you're on the side of right, eventually it's going to take hold, right?
That's right.
Sometimes it takes a little bit longer and they'll make you look like you're crazy. They'll try to act like you're crazy, call you crazy. They're going to be corrupt and they're going to benefit their own.
That's right, Brother Breon. That's right, Brother Breon. That truth set you free, brother. That's right. You just going to be all right, Brother Breon. You just tell the truth and truth set you free, brother. That's Nate Miles. He's most definitely a public figure or a public figure with respect to community activism, but we're going to return to him and his lawyer's ill-advised attempts to silence Kevin Shelton and me on a public matter involving cannabis equity and licensing. We're going to return to that later because that's going to ultimately lead to putting their queen, Ollie Garrett, on the hot seat, which we had tried to avoid doing. Trust me on this.
Yeah, it's a shame. Nobody's joining us on this. It's a lonely walk.
No matter what
it's
you
a lonely
say,
walk.
yeah, but the righteous always will prevail no matter what. As long as you keep fighting and as long as you understand that you're on the side of right, eventually it's going to take hold, right?
That's right.
Sometimes it takes a little bit longer and they'll make you look like you're crazy. They'll try to act like you're crazy, call you crazy, all these different names. But when it comes down to it, they the ones in the wrong. That's why they trying to make everybody else look so bad, right? It's because they're in the wrong. And when they're in the wrong, that's what they do.
Advocacy is tough, folks. That's what Breon Corbray was saying about my advocacy along with them in February of 2022, before he subsequently took a different tack and told Kevin Shelton that he's going to get a license, but Kevin won't because he's still associated with me. And nor will anyone associated with me get a license either. That's quite believable for reasons we've already put forward. Now, last time I checked, that's a First Amendment violation on several fronts. Most notably, like freedom of association, right to petition the government for redress, things of that nature. But what would I know? I've only won First Amendment jury trials and briefed successful Supreme Court First Amendment criminal cases. Anyway, now here's Libby Haines. She has been continuously ignored by the very people who were supposed to take care of her. NAACP, ACLU, Black Excellence in Cannabis, all of these alphabet soup organizations, none of these alphabet soup organizations ever followed up with her after she got stiffed, as noted in the Stranger story regarding the rule that was made after she applied that said spousal units must meet the criteria for licensing. Now that rule has since been abolished, so she should come to the front of the line, right? I mean, that's a race-neutral criteria, right? That's what I told Mr. Postman, but he's too busy telling me that I'm launching personal attacks. Whatever, dude. Okay. Now, note that these white girls had also sold her out, too. ACLU and Gleam Law Firm lawyer Rachel Kurz. She was supposed to help out. She was supposed to help Miss Haines and reach out to Allison Holcomb. But then that disappeared as well. There's an email right there, okay? Here it is. In the meantime, I'll be contacting Allison Holcomb to see what type of support we can get from her. She sounded very supportive the first time I contacted her. I will also round up others I think may be able to help. This would be trying to convince them not to bother with the appeal process, but instead reconsider their denial internally. Just to be clear, they didn't tell you they were going to deny it, right? Just that it could be an issue, and then they could just send out the letter. Okay, and she says, outside of getting them to change their minds, I think we have the law on our side for the appeal. The renunciation of his stake in the business could negate him as a true party of interest, and the fact that under 314-55-030, a criminal history is not a de facto ban on issuing a license, but it is discretionary, comma, even if he remained a true party of interest. But nothing ever happened after that. Ball was dropped. And as you can see by these examples here, nothing ever happened subsequent to that. And as you can see here, Libby Haines Marchel reached out to a number of different journalism gurus and stations and everything. He tried to get Jesse and all of that. And it's just ignored, okay? So all of that happened back in 2015 before I was even on the cannabis scene, really. I was just reading about it and learning about it, okay? So you can't blame that on me either. You know, that's the formula. Just blame it on KingCast. That's the problem. He's the problem. The outsider is the problem. That Negro there. Now, circling back to Nate Miles. Mr. Shelton and I can affirm that Mr. Miles is at minimum a limited purpose public figure with respect to community activism. His picture's all over the place. He himself talks about his image in the community, blah, 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 okay? Now, regardless of same, we have truth as an ultimate defense and many witnesses and other documentation that will corroborate the bogus accusations that he is making. We note further, that we are republishing items that have been in the subject of uncontroverted sworn testimony before federal court of law in Shelton and Sod versus LCB et al. 220 Civil 01494-RAJ. Okay? The case has been reassigned to Judge Lynn now, by the way, so it's not RAJ, it's whatever Lynn's initials are. Okay, Tanner Lynn, TL. Okay, so now we told Mr. Miles and his attorneys in no uncertain terms that if and when they file affidavits in a lawsuit, we will proceed to jury, put 12 in a box, and rock it. Meanwhile, this ill-advised move will ultimately show that we have not attacked LCB board member Ollie Garrett. Rather, we have consistently attempted to shield her from the discovery process that is now about to ensue. We have information, never mind, you'll see tomorrow. Okay, this is the trailer. Now, also, if there have come to pass any assertions that mimicking Mr. Miles' voice, well, that's obviously safe protected speech under parody, sarcasm, etc. All right, duh. Also, he has a damages issue because even NAACP area president Gerald Hankerson referred to him as Snake Miles. Opinions are like noses, folks. We're all allowed to have them. You know, some people in the public love me, some don't. Usually the public people love me, the government doesn't. That's how it breaks down. But anyway, guess what? That's life. As a public figure, and the standard for defamation is, a reckless intentional act, a reckless intentional communication causing harm. All right, communicated to third parties. Nothing here is false. You have two competing people arguing over something. One side has put affidavits into court. The other side has nothing but hot air so far. So even if they do produce affidavit, that comes down to an issue for the jury to determine, or the judge to determine, credibility. There's no defamation. All right, so what should not be a part of life is how Jay Inslee and his lifelong pals, Rick Garza and David Postman, pontificate over us for years and years and years and falsely accuse us of personal attacks and work together to get the black community clowning on itself. But as Breon stated, just stick to the truth, and the truth will set you free, brother. That's right, Brother King. The truth sets you free, Brother King. You'll say, that's right.